Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Over to Raman Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Veer Krishna Prabhu, Ratnam. Thank you very much for your wonderful kirtan. Very mesmerizing today. So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome back to our weekly Chaitanya Charitamrita study discussion. So, thank you very much, His Grace Nityananda Prabhu, for giving me an opportunity to glorify Lord Chaitanya and the associates. So, we are discussing from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 3, text 193 onwards. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Daita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. We share hope audio and video is clear, audible, and visible. Thank you, Mataji. So we are reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 3, text 193 onwards. So we have been discussing different aspects of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we completed Adi Lila and Madhya Lila 3, third chapter is almost the finishing stage. And we have seen in the previous sessions how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was planning to go to Vrindavan and how he was distracted, kind of cheated by Lord Nityananda and associates, diverted him from going to Vrindavana. There is a very deep meaning hidden in that, which will be revealed eventually as we progress. Partially, it is already revealed, and further will be revealed in coming sections. So, we discussed last few sessions how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been hosted by Advaita Acharya in his house, and how Mother Sachi has arranged, cooked for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally, and all the devotees were fed sumptuous prasadam. Now Lord wants to go back to or go to Jagannath Puri as desired by Mother Sachi. Now today's verse and today's section and next week's section will cover the process of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's living and going to Jagannath Puri. So today's section is more focused on Haridas Thakura and his humility and how Lord gets agitated by the humility of Haridas Thakura. In this process, we'll try to understand the mood of Haridas Thakura today. We deep dive into his mood. Then we'll slowly go to Jagannath Puri along with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So text 193. Sabha Vidaya Hidaya Prabhu Chalite Kaila Mana Hari Dasa Kandi Kahe Karuna Vachana. Translation. After requesting all the devotees to return home, the Lord decided to go to Jagannath Puri. At that time, Haridas Thakura began to cry and speak some pathetic words. So here is the point of understanding the mood of Haridas Thakura, the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita. We just try to make an attempt. Haridas Thakura is not an ordinary devotee. Actually, the pastimes of Haridas Thakura are worth for devotees of practitioners of Krishna consciousness to deep dive into and do a detailed research, because his every activity is a case study for practitioner of Krishna consciousness. He is a role model for all of us. We'll see Haridas Thakura's mood. Text 194. नीला चले याबे तुमी मोरा कोन गति नीला चले याइते मोरा ika sakati. Translation. Haridas Thakura said, you are going to Jagannath Puri, and that is all right. But what will be my destination? I am not able to go to Jagannath Puri. So Srila Prabhupada gives the background of Haridas Thakura's concern, the purport, saying in Jagannath Puri Mandir temple, non-Hindus are not allowed. To be more specific, so Prabhupada mentions that only Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras, that is those who are practicing Varnashram Dharma system, would enter. So this is a rule in Jagannath Puri temple. There are so many reasons. At some point of time till I think 1500s or 1600s, I don't remember exactly, everyone was allowed. That's what I heard in one of the lectures. But when there are 14 or 15 times the Muslim kings tried to attack Jagannath Puri and destroy the temple, the entrance for non-Hindus were banned. And I heard that many of great personalities, like even Indira Gandhi, even sometimes once I heard that Mahatma Gandhi was not allowed because he was trying to enter with and enter the temple with non-Hindus. He was making a protest. He was not allowed. And also I heard that there's one foreign lady, she donated almost 2 crores rupees to the mandir. They accepted the donation for her purification, but entry was not allowed. That shows that Lord cannot be purchased by paying money or anything. So this is the kind of rituals or restrictions, rules are followed by the authorities of Jagannath temple. So we are not going to discuss whether it is right or wrong. We are going to discuss that yes, it is a rule, and even Lord Chaitanya Prabhu has respected that. He didn't. He is Supreme Lord himself. He could have easily organized or made a way for entry of Haridas Thakur also, but he didn't. He respected the rules. So here, Haridas Thakura, he's not talking about entering temple. He says he cannot even enter Jagannath Puri, Dham itself. That shows the mood of Haridas Thakura. He considers himself as a far lower than Sudra community. So he says that I have no qualification. Forget about entering temple. I don't have qualification to enter even Dham. So that shows the humility of Haridas Thakura. The Prabhupada explains in the purport that Haridas Thakura, out of his great humility, did not want to violate these existing rules. Neither Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He therefore said that he did not have the strength to enter into the temple. So his concern is, if Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes to Jagannath Puri as per the instructions of Mother Sachi, so what would be his fate? He cannot, or he don't want to go to Jagannath Puri because he thinks himself as very fallen soul, highly sinful person. So he exhibiting or he is expressing his concern to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In verse 195, मुनि अधम तुम्हारा ना पाप दर्शन हेमते धरिब ए पापिष्ठर जीवन. He says himself as a papishta jivana. This highly sinful life is mine. How can I enter Jagannath Puri? He says he's not only lowest among the men, he's also very sinful. This is the humility of Haridas Thakura. Actually, if you see the life of Haridas Thakura, so exalted personality he is. But he is considering himself as a highly sinful person. So, the life of Haridas Thakura is full of lessons for all of us. Haridas Thakura is an eternally liberated soul. I don't want to go into the pastime of who Haridas Thakura was in his previous life and why Lord Brahma took the position of Haridas Thakura. The detail every one of us know. But one thing I would like to add here, that his appearance in this Gaur Lila has two purposes. One is he wanted to purify himself for the offense what he's committed. Lord Brahma has committed to to Krishna, lotus feet of Krishna, by not recognizing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he wanted to purify himself from the offense what he has committed. Second one, the most important, that is the real purpose of Haridas Thakura's appearance in this, Lord Brahma's appearance in this material world, is to spread the holy name of the Lord, to propagate, to prepare the ground for Lord Chaitanya Prabhu's appearance. He has been practicing much before appearance of Lord Chaitanya Prabhu in this material world. So he and Advaita Acharya, they were spreading the glories of holy name. So we all know the famous pastime of how Haridas Thakura was beaten in 22 marketplaces. Since Haridas Thakura was by birth, he was a Muhammadian, and he was practicing Krishna consciousness right from his young age. So the Qazi was not happy, and he instructed Haridas Thakura to stop chanting the holy name of the Lord and practice Islamic religion. But Haridas Thakura said that either Puranas or Quran gives the same message. That in Quran, you call the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Allah, and in Puranas, he is called Krishna. So he explained, but Qazi was adamant. He says, if you're not stopping the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, you may be killed. Then Haridas Thakura says, in Chaitanya Bhagavata, it is mentioned that Khanda Khanda Hai Deha Yaya Yadi Prana Tabu Ami Vadanevna. So he says that even if you cut my body into pieces, I'm not going to Na Chadi Harinam. Says, I'm not going to stop this chanting the holy name of the Lord. And he was beaten in 22 marketplaces by the associates of Qazi. The soldiers were beating him heavily because Qazi thought from his experience, if one is given a nice beating in, that is with a whip, whipped in 2 or 3 marketplaces heavily, that person is sure to die. That was his experience from the previous punishments he has been giving to many. But here is Haridas Thakura. He was beaten in 22 marketplaces. But he was very happy all along. He was chanting the holy name of the Lord. And the soldiers who were beating him, they were very tired. And Haridas Thakura, he's a Paradukha Dukhi. So he could not tolerate the so-called suffering of the soldiers, that they are tired beating him. But he didn't give up. So they requested him that if you're not dying, Qazi will kill us. Please help. So they requested him, and still he didn't give up the chanting of holy name, but he appeared to be leaving the body for the soldiers. He became unconscious and fell down just for the sake of the soldiers. So that is the mood of Haridas Thakura. And later, when the devotees were asking him how he could tolerate, and first of all, a devotee, how he can get punished? the mood of Haridas Thakur. He says that I got punished only because I heard Vaishnava Ninda, and I am also very sinful. So he considered himself a very sinful person, and because of that, he claims that he deserves this punishment. So that is Haridas Thakur. So this power of humility of Lord Haridas Thakura binds even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, during Mahaprakash Lila in Sivasangan, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reveals the secret to all the associates that when Haridas Thakura was being beaten heavily in 22 marketplaces, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was ready to release the Sudarshan Chakra to kill all the soldiers and also Kazi. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions that just because Haridas Thakura has been praying the Supreme Lord to forgive all the soldiers who are beating him and begging Lord to show the way for all the soldiers to give devotional service. So, because of prayers of Haridas Thakura, though the Lord was ready with Sudarshan Chakra, he wanted to release irrespective of Haridas Thakura's prayers, but Sudarshan Chakra was not being, it's not moving from his hand. So Sudarshan Chakra was not accepting the instructions of the Lord to go and kill all the soldiers because the prayers of Haridas Thakura was binding Sudarshan Chakra. And Lord said that he did not have any power to release the chakra. Even he wanted to release, Sudarshan Chakra was not going. That was the intense prayers of Haridas Thakura. So what Lord did, he wanted to save his pure devotee. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkutam. So what he did, he subtly covered the body of Haridas Thakura with his own body. No one could see, but he covered the body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He protected the body of Haridas Thakura. So when this was explained by, or when this revealed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Haridas Thakura, also Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed his back to Haridas Thakura. The marks of whipping were on his back. So by looking at Haridas Thakura got fainted. It was so sad that, oh my Lord, because of me. So he claims himself more sinful. Now, said, because of me, Lord, you accepted all these beatings. How fallen soul I am. So, very happy with the Haridas Thakura. Lord Chaitanya Prabhu asked him for a benediction. Haridas Thakura says that, oh my Lord, I need only one benediction. What is it? He didn't ask for liberation. He didn't ask for releasing from all the sufferings in this material world. He said, birth after birth, I must get the remnants of your devotees. He didn't even ask the place in Golak Vrindavana or Navadip Dham, where Lord Chaitanya Prabhu eternally is releasing his pastimes even today. He didn't ask a place in Golak Vrindavana or Vaikuntha in the spiritual world. He says that birth after birth, I must get the remnants of your devotees. So that shows that devotees of the Lord, they want, even they're not expecting that they want to go back to Godhead. They are ready to take a birth every lifetime. Again and again, they're ready to take a birth if Lord wishes, and to associate with the devotees of the Lord. Here is Haridas Thakura is going one step ahead. He says, I want the remnants of your devotees. He feels himself as unqualified to even associate with the devotees of the Lord. This, I beg only remnants, their remnants. So that is the mood of Haridas Thakura. Anyone from the life of Haridas Thakura, we can understand so many lessons. He exhibited that anyone at any level, any caste, can chant the holy name of the Lord. There is no restriction. But also he exhibited the quality a practitioner of Krishna consciousness must possess. And this is a most important lesson for us, that humility. And what should be the mood of prayer to the Lord? What is it we should ask? So once Haridas Thakura went for an assembly of devotees. In that, all the devotees were discussing the glories of holy name. So one of the devotee, he was glorifying the holy name of the Lord. He says, once you take up the holy name of the Lord, all your sins are eradicated. Everybody said, oh, Haribol, Haribol. True. And other devotee says that once you take up the holy name of the Lord, you are completely liberated from this material world. Haribol! Everybody has started shouting. And Haridas Thakura says, very humbly, says, our purpose is not to eradicate our sins. Our purpose of practicing Krishna consciousness, this is a wonderful lesson for us. He says, our purpose of practicing Krishna consciousness is not to eradicate our sins or get liberated from this material world, but beg for pure love of Krishna. That is the whole purpose. That is the whole purpose of our practicing Krishna consciousness. All other things like getting rid of our sinful reactions of our past activities or liberation from this material world, they are all byproducts of bhakti, which a devotee is not bothered at all. He is not bothered at all whether I am getting relieved from this sinful activity, because it's not a devotee's problem. As Krishna himself has assured in Bhagavad Gita, that once you take my shelter, all your sinful reactions will be vanquished, and I will take care of you. Ma suchaha. So why a devotee should bother about that? So devotees practicing Krishna consciousness is not for anything else other than for pure love of Krishna. So that is the mood of Haridas Thakura. We can learn three things from Haridas Thakura about what is surrender and how one must surrender. What is surrender? The life of Haridas Thakura itself is a whole case study, as I mentioned before, for a practitioner. To understand the process of surrender, how a devotee, how a practitioner must lead his life. Here is case study of Haridas Thakura. One should very attentively hear and read and practice. What is surrender? We understand from Haridas Thakura's life that it is nothing but Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. So, in Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami mentions that Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavrutam. Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam Bhakti Ruttama. See, any activity we do must be for the pleasure of Krishna. Say it should be free from any material desires. Then only it is called surrender. Surrender is not simply paying obeisances to the Dandavat Pranam. It's not a surrender. Generally, we, of course, non-devotees, many of them think, once we completely do Dandavat Pranam, okay, we surrender to the Lord. No. Manasa Vacha Karmana. One should completely surrender, completely give up our material desires. And do what? Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. Do every activity for the pleasure of Krishna. As instructed by Acharyas, not our own will and wish. Okay, if I want to do something and I want to please Krishna, which is not, which is against the scriptures, like I want to offer Krishna, I want to please Krishna, I will offer non-vegetarian. So it is not Anushilanam. Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. So every activity must be done for the pleasure of Krishna. The activity must be as instructed by Acharyas. So that is surrender. Mean doing any activity for the pleasure of the Lord. Ready to accept any sufferings, any kind of suffering for the pleasure of Lord is surrender. I would like to recall the story which frequently I used to talk about, Vasudev's journey to leave Krishna in Nandagram and coming back with Maya. Many of you might have heard this from me, wonderful lessons it carries, but very apt to understand the mood of Haridas Thakura in surrendering, the process of surrender. Ready to accept anything for the pleasure of the Lord. Anything, taking beatings, anything for the pleasure of the Lord. There, one must be ready. So, like how Vasudev, though his hands and legs were tied up, the moment Krishna told, take me to Nandagram, Vasudev didn't question Lord. Oh my Lord, you can't see my hands and legs are tied up. How can you imagine me taking you to Nandagram? How it is possible? He didn't ask. He said, yes, my Lord, I will take you. The moment he said yes, everything was gone. His shackles were removed. Doors were open. Gods were sleeping. And even Yamuna gave the way. So, here is the point always I used to ask. Many of you heard this in the past also, that when Vasudeva was carrying Krishna while going, so Yamuna gave the way because he was carrying Krishna on his head. Yamuna seen Krishna and gave the way. So, but my question always has been, what is the return journey of Vasudeva? Yamuna was still flowing, but in return, he didn't have Krishna with him. Whom he was carrying? He was carrying Maya on his head. Literally carrying Maya on his head in return journey of Vasudeva. But in return journey also, Yamuna gave the way. Just because he was not carrying Krishna on his head, Yamuna didn't stop him from crossing. Still it gave the way and he could easily cross because he was completely surrendered soul. So that is exactly what Haridas Thakura's life is all about. Complete surrender. Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam, as Vasudeva did for the pleasure of Krishna. He didn't bother to think of any problems. It is possible, not possible. He didn't care about that. But when a situation comes, we think 100 times, oh my God, it is not possible. How it is? When our Shiksha Guru or spiritual master tells something, oh, Prabhu, it is not possible. Prabhu, Maharaj, it is not possible. How can I do this? Faith. So that brings the process of surrendering. Three things are important, as I said. One is a faith. Second one is humility. Third one is kripa. So these three we understand from the activities of Haridas Thakura, from the mood of Haridas Thakura. He had complete faith on Krishna. When he was being beaten heavily, he didn't give up. He said, cut my body into pieces. I don't care, still I will not give up chanting of holy name. So, three things from the life of Haridas Thakura, from the mood of Haridas Thakura, is a faith. One must have complete faith. So, how faith develops, this we discussed in Nectar of Devotion. Prabhupada explains very detailed that the initially Shraddha will start because it is not possible for us to get the Shraddha by its own. So it is a mercy of Vaishnavas. So by their mercy, we develop Shraddha. Through their causeless mercy, we develop Shraddha. And it develops further by experiencing. And this experience, as Acharyas say that, this experience comes when we apply the process given by the Acharyas. So, transforming the faith into a devotion deals with applying the process given by Acharyas. Example, butter is already existing within the milk. So, we have a faith that butter is there within the milk, but it is not visible. When it becomes visible, when we apply process of churning, we get the butter. So Acharyas have given the process to transform the faith into devotion by practicing the process given by them. So the 64 limbs given by Goswami, Nectar of Devotion, is what we are talking about here. So the faith develops to that level of faith which Haridas Thakura was exhibiting. It is, as I always been mentioning, it's a case study for us. We should sincerely try to study and understand the mood of Haridas Thakura. He's not an ordinary personality. We have no knowledge or no capacity to understand the big scriptures and the philosophies. Simply try to understand the life of Haridas Thakura. That itself takes us to Golok Vrindavana. That itself gives us Krishna Prema. No need to mug up the slokas and understand very high philosophy. Of course, as preachers, it's required. That's a different thing. But for understanding Krishna, following footsteps of bona fide devotees like Haridas Thakura, that gives the entire result. The second most important point from Haridas Thakura's life is humility, which that's the topic of today's discussion. So he exhibited the humility. What level of humility he was exhibiting? He says, my Lord, I am not qualified to enter Jagannath Puri. I am a very sinful person. I am a very low-born person. What a low-born person we are talking here. When Advaita Acharya has invited for the Shraddha ceremony of his forefathers, the prasada is a practice in India to offer to qualified brahmanas. There are so many brahmanas that came for that ceremony. But Advaita Acharya first he offered the prasada to Haridas Thakura, considered him as an exalted brahmana, exalted Vaishnava. And here is Haridas Thakura. He thinking himself as a very low-born, unqualified, highly sinful person. This should be the mood of practitioner. Not that I started chanting 16 rounds. Oh, I got initiation. I got Brahmanical initiation. I'm great devotee of the Lord. Puffed up. Not caring anybody. Not respecting other Vaishnavas. So here is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Sikshashtakam. It reminds that sloka, Trunadapi Sunichena Tarurapi Saishna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. So this is the practice exhibited by Haridas Thakura. Actually, what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has told is coming from the life of Haridas Thakura. You see, you should be like him. He's showing the life of Haridas Thakura and says, should be like him. He was chanting 192 rounds per day. But he feels, he thinks himself as an unqualified, sinful person. And this is a humility of Haridas Thakura. This humility cannot be imitated, my dear devotees. It is a byproduct of bhakti. When we sincerely practice bhakti, humility automatically develops. When we realize that nothing belongs to us, everything belongs to him, the Supreme Person Godhead, and I'm only his agent to practice, to follow his instructions or his my spiritual master instructions or my senior devotees instructions. If that humility is not there, we cannot advance even after millions of lifetimes. We may be externally practicing the holy name of the Lord, maybe 16 rounds, 64 rounds, 128 rounds, or maybe 192 rounds. It doesn't matter. It doesn't help. If we are not practicing, rather if we are not practicing Krishna consciousness with humility, we are zero. So the third point which we understand from the life of Haridas Thakura is a mercy. He is so merciful and he is depending on the mercy of the Lord and his devotees. Kripa, Kripalu. What kind of a Kripa he is giving? He and Nityananda Prabhu are going door to door and begging all the grihasthas to chant the holy name of the Lord. He says, we are the beggars. They treat themselves as beggars. These are different kind of beggars who are begging them to accept what they are giving, not to accept from them. They want to give, but they're begging, please accept what they're giving. The most the kind of this one which cannot be valued at all. Invaluable thing they are giving. This Harinam, accept this, please. We beg you. So he is distributing the Kurban. One should understand that only by the mercy of devotees and Krishna one can advance in Krishna consciousness. So this is third factor which we understand from the life of Haridas Thakura. So once Lord Chaitanya Prabhu come to see Haridas Thakura when he was sick. See, another beautiful pastime to understand the mood of this happened when he was in Jagannath Puri. Under the Siddhapakula tree, he was practicing his chanting 192 rounds daily. So once he came, Lord Chaitanya Prabhu come to see Haridas Thakura, and he was very sick and weak. And Lord told, hey, you're becoming old. You have to reduce the number of rounds and take care of your body. Don't stress yourself. So many rounds every day. And here is Haridas Thakur. He says, my Lord, the reason for my sickness is that I am not doing a quality or enough quality japa. See the mood of Haridas Thakur. You know, he was doing 192 rounds. I heard, I don't know, someone can confirm this. I heard that out of 192, 64 rounds he was doing manasik, and 64 rounds he was doing a normal japa, and 64 rounds was loud chanting of a. So, of course, we cannot imitate. Haridas Thakur saying, "Oh, Haridas Thakur did manasik chanting. I will also do manasik chanting." Okay, you can do, but first to finish 64 rounds of normal japa, 64 rounds of loud chanting. Then maybe you can do another 64 manasik japa. No problem. So, see the mode of, even after practice doing this chanting so sincerely, he says that I'm not doing a quality japa. So I must improve my. That is the reason for my sickness. Not that I become too many. I'm doing a lot of devotional service or a lot of chanting. No, I'm not doing proper chanting. That's why I'm sick. Whereas we get a small sickness, we keep chanting back aside and gets accumulated, and we try to cover it later date. Or sometimes Krishna Arpanam. So we offer to Krishna and wash hands as if we're offering some property. We're offering, oh my Lord, I didn't do last 5 days because I was sick. 5 into 16 rounds offering to you. Please take it. By not doing, we're offering. Krishna Arpanam. Huh? See the Haridas Thakura's mode. So one must have the humility to chant the holy name, because the humility is a crushed jewel. As Prabhupada explains, the crushed jewel is the greatest quality for a devotee. Humility is a must. Actually, I am not qualified to talk about this topic, humility, because I am the most puffed up person. I don't have any qualification to talk about this, the quality of Haridas Thakura. Just because the mercy of Nityan Singh Prabhu and other devotees given me opportunity to talk. I was so puffed up. Some of the members of this group can coach. They remember when I was in Krishna Mathuradesh, I have a pride that I was the first to rather to start 24-hour chanting in our chakra. That time I was a chakra leader in Krishna Mathuradesh, chakra. So Radhapati Prabhu recently also he reminded me. He said, Prabhu, you started, then everybody started practicing. So this is the pride I carry. He said, on that day, still I remember, Prabhu, last week he reminded me, he said, Prabhu, you did 227 rounds on that day. 227. So I was kind of feeling that I did more than Haridas Thakura. Haridas Thakura did only 192. I wanted to beat him. So this was the mood. So here is a devotion. So much of pride, even in the devotion also. Pride that I chanted more than Haridas Thakura. Haridas Thakura chanting every day. I did 10 years ago once in my lifetime. And I was still carrying that feel, I'm so proud that I did 227. So why this the pride comes? Because the desire to have honor from others. Prabhu, you did 227 rounds. Yeah, Prabhu, okay, Prabhu, it is all Krishna's mercy, devotee's mercy. But internally, I feel so happy. Prabhu, you are recognizing. Okay. So that is the internal. So a devotee must overcome this tendency of pride. Otherwise, where is the humility? When we understand the lives of devotees like Haridas Thakura and practice in their footsteps, that is the real knowledge we can gain in Krishna consciousness. When we are full of this knowledge, then it is like a mango tree, the full of ripened fruits will bend lower, bend down. So that is a humility. When we have the real knowledge of, real understanding of practicing or following the footsteps of acharyas, then we become more humble. See, the Haridas Thakura, he says that I am untouchable because I'm a low class person. born in low class family. One way actually, Haridas Thakur is correct. He's untouchable. But he's untouchable by what? He's untouchable by Maya. Untouchable by Maya. So we know the story of Hirabai, that prostitute. I'll not go into that story. We all know, we heard so many times. But because of mercy of Haridas Thakura, Hirabai, the prostitute, she is now known as Laksha Hira, because she was also chanting lakhs of uh, holy names every day by the mercy. She got initiated by Haridas Thakura. It's a long story which we all know. So that is the Haridas Thakura. In Navadip Mahatmya, I heard that Bhaktivinoda Thakura says, here is actually, it is revealed that Haridas Thakura is Brahma in his previous life, Brahma Lila, whatever the offense he has committed, that is revealed by our acharyas. So, though Krishna accepted him, he has forgiven his offense, and he smiled at him and he said, okay, now you go back to your abode. But Brahma was not feeling happy in his heart. So again he came back and he did authority, and he prayed Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared, and he is accepted. He told him that, okay, next time when I am appearing in Navadvipa, so you come and take birth as my associate in a Malecha family, Yavana family. So that is the mood of Haridas Thakur. So actually Haridas Thakur is elder to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but still he was so humble and always surrendered to Lord and his devotees. So just another couple of points I will tell, and then we'll conclude the session today. That from the life of Haridas Thakur, we understand how to transform from acting humble to really humble. He was already humble, whereas we trying to be humble or acting as humble, and from there, how to transform ourselves to become humble is, one should not take credits for whatever we have done in Krishna consciousness. We must pass on to Guru and Gauranga. So this is another lesson we take from Haridas Thakur. So here Haridas Thakur was not only chanting, but also preaching along with Nityananda. Not that whole day he was chanting only, though he was chanting 192 rounds most of the days. But he was also preaching along with Lord Nityananda, door to door, begging the many grihasthas to accept the holy name of the Lord. So in this today's verses, what we discussed, we see how Haridas Thakur thinks himself as so sinful and fallen that he cannot even enter Jagannath Puri. So it is again Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. He brought him to Jagannath Puri, convinced him to come to Jagannath Puri, and he given a place very close to the Gambhira. So we all know that Siddhapakula tree, under Siddhapakula tree, he was practicing chanting every day, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally was bringing Jagannath Prasad and feeding him. So that is the mood of Haridas Thakur and mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says that Haridasa Achila Prithvira Shiromani. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself says in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, it is mentioned that Haridas Thakur was a crown jewel on the head of this world. He says that without him, this world is now bereft of its valuable jewel. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is praising Haridas Thakur, and this is the mood one should carry by following footsteps of Haridas Thakura. So we'll just read two more verses, only translation is there. So then we'll conclude. In verse 196, Prabhu kahe karo tumi dainya samvarana tumara dainyate mora vyakula haya mana. Translation: The Lord replied to Haridas Thakura, please check your humility. Just the sight of your humility very much agitates my mind. So this is the mood of Lord Chaitanya Prabhu. He is so moved with the humility of Haridas Thakura. So it is, as I said, it's a case study for all of us to start practicing the footsteps of Haridas Thakura and not to imitate him. With this, I would like to end the session here. Hare Krishna. Andraj Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev ki jai, or Premanande Hari Hari. Any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, very nice. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Prabhu. Humility, very strong dose, Prabhu, actually. Humility, which, it is, it's a process, Prabhu, actually, how this process to adapt, because we are so much attached to the position and everything, so much we are attached, this one, Prabhu. So we do some years together, we hear, years together we do chanting, years together we associate with the devotees, but at the end of the day, end of the this, we fall down, Prabhu, in this humility, when humility comes.
Correct. So that is the reason we not only read the Shastras, but also read the lives of Acharyas and practice Krishna consciousness in their footsteps. Otherwise, we do as we understand or we think it is right without practical application, because here we get practical application of Shastras, what we study. The humility is very important for practitioner.
It's a challenge, Prabhu, actually. Further, I'm asking. It's a challenge, Prabhu, actually. How this challenges to be faced. That's what I just, a small, if you can. Sadhu Sangha, all processes are good. All, everything we say, but practically we have to get into the, like batting, we have to do batting on this. How we have to do the batting, this is a great challenge, Prabhu. This one, sometimes if you give some tips, that would help us.
Prabhu, the only, though as I mentioned, Prabhu, I am not a competent person to give advice on humility, because I myself opt up a person. But theoretically, what I hear, what I read from other devotees, my Shiksha Gurus and spiritual master, is that one should not get attached to our positions. Suppose, remember when I was in Krishna Mathuradesh, we did one, this one also for when Ambarish Prabhu came for fundraising for UAP temple. So we were discussing, I was telling them how we can generate Lakshmi without getting attached to our income. Because we feel that, okay, I'm getting say 1,000 Qatar Riyal or 10,000 Qatar Riyal. So I have so many commitments. I want to pay for this, pay for that, pay for this. So I'm finished, no money. So I was telling in that program also that even the drama we did on that day, Ambarish Prabhu was there in Krishna Kathadesh, that assume that your exchange rate is say 190 rupees or 19 rupees in terms of Qatar Riyal, 19 rupees. Or 18 rupees. Suppose market it is there 20 rupees. So fix yourself as 16 rupees or 17 rupees. The balance to divert it to create a separate fund. So likewise, trying to find various ways of detaching ourselves from our positions. So that now we know we have this money. So I don't attach to my position, my either Lakshmi or my anything, whatever positions I have. As long as we are having attachment that it is my money, my house, so that takes us to the pride. And also the most important, the most dangerous pride we have is the knowledge that I'm studying scriptures. I am highly knowledgeable. I know I can do presentations very well. I can give lectures very well. So this is the most dangerous pride. So one should not get attached to any of these things. Do it as a service to the Lord, for the pleasure of the Lord. Then there is no question of pride attacking us. So this is my relation, Prabhu. Though I'm not, I don't claim to that I'm practicing it, but since you asked this, I thought what I felt is
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
shared.
Thank you.
Prabhu Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Prabhu Krishna Prabhu, your hand is raised.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
What a wonderful class, and you have touched upon all the points on Haridas Thakur, and very enlightening. But it is coincidence that yesterday I was reading Bhagavatam on the the pastime of Bharat Maharaj. Now Srila Prabhupada, he also indicates about Haridas Thakur in his purport out there.
Yes.
And a very, very striking point that he comes out with. Srila Prabhupada says that if a devotee purposefully, the word he uses is purposefully, commits some offense or mistakes, then by the grace of the Lord, he gets punished.
Yes.
He might
maybe some period.
For a very short period, so that his intensity of getting back to Krishna consciousness increases. And it is not meant for his karma or something like that. So in Jada Bharat's case, he unfortunately fell for this deer, so he had to take a deer's body. In case of Brahma, he had to take this Haridas Thakur's lineage. So when I was hearing you speak, then each and every pastime of Haridas Thakur you were mentioning, this particular statement or this particular principle of Srila Prabhupada was striking my head. That is the reason why I thought I will share.
Thank you, Guru. Actually, it reminds us that we have to be very, very careful not to take any chance that we fall down like Jada Bharata, like Bharat Maharaj, and come back even a short period of time. We can't afford to come back again unless the Lord wants. It's a different thing, but we have to be very, very careful. That reminds us.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada also says the same thing. We have to be very, very careful as practicing devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, any other questions, comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Very nice class. Prabhuji, for this humility, because these positions also in devotional service, we are doing devotion, but also we are holding positions. Though the positions are to serve the devotees, but sometimes it also creates the prideness. So, and also we are trying to go higher and higher, like Chakraparti to Mahachakraparti and different levels. And once one who is holding the position also taking long time to be in that position also. So can you advise on this, how to come out from this position, and is it correct, Prabhu, holding this position for longer time and going up in this, in these positions?
Thank you, Prabhu. Thanks for asking the question. There are two things here, Prabhu. One is going up in the positions. Here, do I need that, or I am trying for that? Is it that my intention to grow into the hierarchy, or it is the Yatra's arrangement that utilize our services for a different purposes? Initially, we may be a sector leader, then become a chakra leader, then become a Mahachakra leader, then you become mandala, whatever it is. Now, I don't know, maybe so many restructures happened in Mathuradesh. I'm just giving, maybe finally we may become Yatra leader, a temple president, whatever it is. So, if these elevations are coming in our devotional life, is it because I am trying for that, or I am aiming for that? The problem here is that, Prabhu, if I'm aiming for that, Lord will definitely arrange, because He is Bhaktavatsala. So that is then when we're chanting, doing devotional service, we have to be very, very careful not to aim for any material benefits. Even I want to become Chakra leader, Yatra leader. These are material positions as long as the intention is to enjoy the name and fame. Otherwise, if Yatra is giving, or because of the circumstantial, this one, we were asked to take up that positions, there is nothing wrong. But only thing here is that we should not get attached to the positions. Sridhar Prabhu, if you remember, not sure whether you know, some of the two members in this group, they know when I was heading Ritu Chakra. So I insisted that within a short period, we had to change the Chakra leader. So it was my recommendation. Then Radhapati Prabhu become Chakra leader, then Sanjay Prabhu become Chakra leader. So it is a kind of pulling ourselves back, so that no attachment. So this is the standard in many of the temples. They also have temple president rotation, but it all depends on Yatra policy. So we are not here to question Yatra policy. I don't want to become Chakra leader. It is not, no need to tell that, but your intentions to be very clear that I am holding this position not for name and fame. I am holding this position only for the pleasure of the Lord or pleasure of Yatra. So they wanted me to do this service. This is service, Prabhu. Chakrapati is not actually a pati, not a head. It is a servant actually. Chakra servant. That is a more apt name. But we are calling it as a Chakrapati, Mahachakrapati. Actually, one should have the tendency to take this position as a service. Maybe they identified some talent in us, not that we have a talent, but they thought that I can use this in the service of the Lord. So there's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. And one should not get attached. So as much as possible, try to involve others also into the service, so that you or we don't get attached to the positions. So this is my humble lesson based on the experience which I had in Mathuradesh.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So, Hare Krishna, there are any other questions, comments, we'll conclude the session here. Nitesh Prabhu, who is the next week's preacher?